So yes, it is another edition of Friday Flight School. Today I have a new toy that I want to show on screen here. Something for the Friday Flight School. Yes. Yes. So, during flight school, now, all of my stuff can be seen. All the buttons and everything else that I use. Right here, on screen. So, how is everybody? Ready to learn some stuff about flying? We'll start off again solo. And today, we're going to be talking about aiming and fighting. Alright, like I was saying before, today is going to be about aiming. And doing anything related to aiming, all of the shooting mechanisms and stuff. Before it was about strafing, because you really want to be able to get out of the way of shots before you start firing back, because if all you do is try to learn to shoot first and give a head-on target, you're going to get ripped apart by anyone else strafing. So you want to have the dodging capabilities before you get the aiming part down. So now we're going to move it over. Now, the first thing to talk about and start off with it is right here. Flight lead versus your chase pip. So you either have a lead pip or a lag pip. Most of that is preferential. I'm going to be showing both of them to show how they work, so you can get an idea and a feel for how they both are. Now, resume. We're going to use the Aurora to start out, because that's kind of the base ship that most people have, an Aurora or Mustang Alpha. Over. Alright, so as I was saying, the on-screen stuff, far right hat, that is my strafing. The Z-axis that you see moving up and down, throttle. That little box to the next of it, that's the joystick movement. Z rotation is my roll. Boost, button 7 there you see lighting up. Missile button is 2. Shooty button was 1. 6 that just did that. That's my countermeasures. And then targeting hat. And decouples and so forth. So. Right now we're using flight lead pips. It's actually dogfighting. Okay, right there is the first of the lead pips. That indicator out of range. So you have the pip, you can see the direction they're moving in. But that indicates your shot's really not all that great at that range. You want to get closer to have a better firing solution. See how it switched to a circle from the square? So now you have a circle and a square, and then you have the large circle right there. The large circle means that the firing solution is good for both guns. When it splits off, your firing solution is actually between each gun. So I have gun 1, the square. Gun 2 was the circle. Or gun group, I should say. Again, firing solution there, and open up. You can hit at the longer ranges when you don't have a solution or you aren't aimed at them. Thanks, Phoenix! However, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to land the hits. Like there, I'm pulling them. Couple planks there, but it's not a perfect solution. It's a sort of out of range, not perfect firing solution. You have a general firing solution in those cases. And also, you might notice I was flying at about half throttle. That actually changes the way those pips, the lead pips, are working. If you're going full throttle while you're in combat, they're going to extend further out, because the speed between the two is going to affect where that computer is essentially predicting to put the shots. So, the reason I also started off with the Aurora, and there you see it. The pips are extended really far out in front. He turns around, makes a maneuver, speed changes. They change. However, notice they're not as extended this time. Partially to do with this angle, partially because I cut my throttle back. Whoop. That does, however, present you as a target, so you want to make sure to always strafe. There, I was just pretty much going straight on after the target. Straight on after the targets can get you killed. So if you're watching the controls, I'm now strafing right. That very basic maneuver, but that's actually throwing their shots off just enough, at least in the early stages, to keep you alive. Now, later you're going to have to get a lot more fancy and mix up your strafing. But for now, you can use basic strafing to keep them off. Boosting while strafing also speeds up the strafe, as I talked about last time. So when you start mixing the two, he doesn't have a firing solution on you easily. You have one on them. Very dead early ship. And these are the things that you're going to want to practice if you're new. It takes time to learn how to use a joystick or a mouse and keyboard to aim, to position, to strafe, and fire all the time. Even I myself have trouble aiming sometimes. Still, like, if someone's pulling fancy maneuvers, whoop, and this is why you strafe. He noticed me, come around, little boost, throws shots off, and there we go. We have a targeting solution, he's passing us. And here goes the circle strafe I mentioned. Last time when we were circling the asteroids, he's trying to shoot at me, but flying relatively straight. Bang. Got him. You line up your shots, you keep on the target, and sometimes you use a little bit of self-prediction. Those pips aren't perfect. They're predictors. They're indicators. They give you a pretty good, solid guide, but it's not perfect. So sometimes you have to find the sweet spot in that area, between the two pips sometimes, a little above, a little below. You kind of have to judge, here's the ship over here making its movements, here's your indicators. You sometimes have to glance over and, you know, keep your sight between both so that you're watching what the ship's doing so you can predict where those indicators are going to go next and where the indicators are so you can make the shot. You want to be looking more of an area in between because that'll keep your peripheral vision on both. That'll keep your vision on where the shots need to land and where the ship is going to be going in case it makes any sudden movements, maneuvers, changes that could throw those indicators way off. You never want to be following the pip completely. You don't want your eyes locked on that because that's going to, you know, throw you off if something's coming from the side or monitoring your combat situation. You always want to be using your peripheral vision as much as possible. You never want to get tunnel vision. So yes, even though I haven't perfected my own flying yet, I do understand enough of it to convey how it works. I am by no means the best pilot out there. There are plenty of pilots that will absolutely destroy me, but I can give them hell for short bursts of time if need be to, say, get a teammate involved or anything else in those situations. Survival is key. The longer you live, the better, especially once we get to Persistent Universe where death is going to be very bad. Oh, you can see me firing off a couple countermeasures. And again, we're using that strafe because we have two targets on us. Countermeasures, strafe, all while watching both. See, I can see that Vandal up above me. Now he's down to the right. He just passed below me at the same time. So you can make sure that you're always watching multiple targets at once. Oh! And then sometimes you take a shot right to the cockpit and it goes through the shields. And now a little thing with Vandal Swarm. You always get a refill on ammunition, so if you use physical weapons or anything like that, you get a refill after each elite round, so every 3 rounds. So you can waste a few missiles. And you never want to be able to sit there and give them an easy evade. So you use your missiles when you've got a close pass. You try to get a, good shot. Know where your missile racks are. For me, the Aurora, they're above. So if I'm passing underneath on a head-to-head, straight down a bit, my missiles are going to be able to launch straight up into whatever's oncoming, so they don't have to make a turn. If you time it right, that's a whole other weapon in your arsenal. That's where also, again, strafing comes in handy. Alright, so now we've gotten rid of the lead pip, and these are called lag pips, and as you can see, it's actually lagging off of my crosshair. It's not leading the target anymore. It's instead based on my own ship. Crosshair, that's where it's positioned off of. However, same principle. I have my target. It's throwing the information out, and what you try to do is get those lined up and make your shots. Now, the reason I like the lead pips a bit more is you don't lose them as much. Lag pips tend to get lost. They disappear a little bit too much, the way they move around. You can always see your target with its lead pips. You know where they're going to be. They're leading off of it, the lines there. For this one, it takes a little more to track. However, it is a bit more precise in how it can function. So, as I was saying, it can be used for a little bit more of a precision shot. The lag pip lets you target with, especially with a joystick, specific areas a little bit easier. A lead pip is sort of a broad indicator. A broad indicator of where things are going to be. The lag pip, you place, and there I just tore his engine out. You place it where you want the shot to land. So the lag pip is based on them, but when you match it over them, your shots are actually going for that specific part of the ship. That's the one, as you can see on that right-hand screen, that's the damage to the ship. He doesn't have his wing anymore. His engine is red, so it's torn off. The main body of his ship is damaged. He really only has his gun left. He's not exactly flying well. You can kind of see that, too, by the way he's making broad, slow movements. And, oh, he's getting shot up by the wingmen. He's pretty much drifting out. There's almost nothing that can save him. And there, as you saw my guns cross for a second, that's what I was talking about with distance firing solutions. You don't always have a perfect shot. And the guns crossing was sort of an indicator of that. Now, I only have one box because both of my guns weren't available. Now both of them are. Change to the big circle targeting solution on both. Now we're in proper firing range, blue and death. So red firing range, not perfect, reduced damage, not always a hit. Blue, you're in good range for the guns and taking the hits. So while there's a maximum range for the guns, which is where the pips first appear, you really want to try and get in range for them to be blue. Blue is where they're going to be the most effective. Now, they're going to be changing directions a little bit faster, you're going to be a little bit closer, but that is what you want to try to do, because that'll make your shots more effective. And if you can quickly burst off some shots, make them the most effective possible, you're going to do a lot more damage on a pass, and especially if you can aim the shots right and go for a weapon or a piece, even if you don't have a kill, that'll disable enough of them to make them less functional than you. Less functional enemy means they have less of a chance to kill you.